roll them round, that way, then that way, again, now again. Oh, get a bucket of water, the flames will go out soon, don't worry. It's only second degree burns at best. It might improve him, give him a bit of a suntan, you never know. Ah, folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your services. How are you all? I hope you're doing very well. Now, in this little video here, I'm going to talk about a film which I never expected to talk about. It's a film that, it's one of those things, it's like a little itch you've been dying to scratch. Only in my case, it's an itch I had when I was a kid and then forgot about for several decades. And all of a sudden, I became aware of this movie again and I thought, I must have it. So I ordered it, and it's one of those films it's not on UHD, it's not on Blu-ray. It is only, sadly, on DVD. And it's very, very badly transferred as well. It's a film from 1959, from Sweden, in fact, from Lapland, and it's a Swedish-American co-production, and it's the kind of film that I'd seen very provocative images from it when I was a kid, most notably in the book Dennis Gifford's A Pictorial History of Horror Movies. Many of you of a certain age will know this book. Now, I would show you the cover there, but the problem with it is that the gloriously green and Frankenstein's monster Boris Karloff encrusted cover art has gone. So I'm just left with the rather redolent inner jacket cover, which, as an idiot child, I managed to graffiti all over. Yeah, I apologise for that, folks, because believe you me, I'm not happy with that now. But there you go, don't know if you can read that there. A Pictorial History of the Horror Movie from Dennis Gifford from Hamlin Books. Now, this was the sort of book that when you were a kid, a horror aficionado, you loved. It became part of your education. Not because you learnt much about the films, because it's a book, and the title gives it away, A Pictorial History of Horror Movies. So it's basically page after page of glorious black and white stills and imagery, and a few colour sections showing poster art and other stills, but in glorious colour. But not much actual critique of the films themselves. And I think it's funny how, well, it's not funny, but it's just the way things are. Being a film reviewer myself, that I'm a massive connoisseur of movies, that pretty soon after, gorging yourself on the sumptuous imagery of movies like this, that you want to learn about them as well. Well, you don't learn much from Dennis Gifford's book. As celebrated as it is a pictorial guide, but it's enough to have catered and fostered and engendered an undying love for the genre, and to make you want to seek out these weird and wonderful movies, and many of which are very well known. There are some obscure ones, like the one in question I'm going to discuss today. So I'm just going to show you, glorious imagery there, and yes, that's in double writing is my name and address when I was a little 7-year-old. I'm not going to go through the entire book, because coming up soon is the image in question. It's great, isn't it? It's a little trip down the ghoulish memory lane. Now I think the picture, here we go. There's the picture in question. Look at that. And this is a nice little spread here, because they're all quotes from horror luminaries, But that creature there is an alien yeti. Yeah. Now, that image, folks, is from the film. Here's the Swedish DVD of it, and it's called Rimmed. Careful now. Rimmed Invasion. Be even more careful now. Rimmed Invasion I Lapland. Also known as Terror in the Midnight Sun, because it's a Swedish-American co-production. And basically what it is, it's a typical drive-in 50s sci-fi horror shocker, but filmed in Sweden and Lapland and with a predominantly Swedish crew, but with American stars in it as well. They're not big stars, so don't go thinking like, oh, going to do some name dropping. Barbara Wilson, don't know. Robert Burton, not Richard Burton, Robert Burton. And I think that's it for the Yankee side of it, but who are they? I know not. And the film itself is an interesting concept, but it was that image there, not that one, I've lost the page now. Hold on, let's get it again, because I think it's a great makeup. This would be the monster in question. Look at that, can you see that? Look at that face. And that image, that sort of looking that way, and our angle looking up at him. And as a kid, I used to be going like, what is that movie? And it does tell you, it's Terror in the Midnight Sun. Yeah. But then, as I grew older and began to get movies on home video, because this was pre-movies to own, it was just became like this lost film. This, wow, what could it be? But I want to show you something else as well. In 1977, I was an avid reader back in the 70s, and I always have been. And of course I became a writer as well. So the written word was always big in my life. Particularly the written word when that word was about horror, you know. So I was forever going to our local bookshops and perusing the shelves, latest genre books, science fiction, horror, fantasy, but mainly horror. So James Herbert, Stephen King, Guy N. Smith, you know, some people will remember this guy, and lots of other, you know, horror luminaries from the 70s, lurid stuff. And I came across a book called Snowman. For thousands of years it has stalked the earth, feasting on the flesh of humans, and it's written by a guy called Norman Bogner. This was published in 1977, paperback, and I've had it ever since. But look at that picture there on the cover. Yeah, you've just seen it, because that image there, although the book doesn't acknowledge it, is clearly the Yeti alien monster beast from, what's it called again? Terror in the Midnight Sun, or Rimmed Invasion in Lapland. It's him. They've nicked the image. They've nicked that bloody image there from the movie, from Dennis Gifford's book. I would hazard a guess is that they never took it from the film itself, but like me, Norman Bogner, and I'm only making a supposition here, Norman Bogner, the author of this, had Dennis Gifford's book and saw that image there and said, you know, to his publisher, I want that because that's my snowman. There you go, look at it. Yeah, no mistaking it. And you might even have a bit of a midnight sun going on there behind him. Anyway, 1959 I saw this film getting released, and it is, oh God, it's an oddity, let's put it that way. As I said before, it's a Swedish-American co-production, and the Swedes are taking on the whole idea of it came from outer space, the thing from another world. It is that style. Or even Hammer's The Abominable Snowman, in a big massive collision. The film starts off with this disco ball of fun arriving out of space and crash landing. Well, it doesn't crash land, it just lands basically in the high snowy wastes of Lapland, but it produces skid marks. I defy anyone to watch the first 15 minutes of this unbelievably short movie, 72 minutes if that. It's barely scratched. It says 72 minutes on the box, but it's barely 70 minutes as it is. And even then it's slow, painfully slow. But the first 15 minutes, how the American scientist who's brought into Stockholm or wherever the hell it is, like this big agency, and they bring in their top geologist to come in as well, like who's a bit of a womanizing playboy. He gets dropped off late at this meeting by some dolly bird, and then he struts in through adjusting his tie. He's got lippy on his face, and the assistant with the old typewriter. You're late. Oh, the film is in English, by the way. I hasten to add. Oh, you're late. Where have you been? Oh, don't tell me. Oh, here, let's wipe your face. And he walks off. Oh God, I've been caught again with another woman. And he struts off into the meeting. And this secretary just sort of goes and swoons over him. Pure money penny with James Bond. So this guy comes in, and he's the young guy. He must be Sten Gester, I'm presuming, because he certainly is an American, and got an accent, a convincing one. So he joins this little group, a tiny little group of a couple of scientists and a couple of military bods, who then fly out there to this location to find out what the hell has been landing there. But they do discuss ad infinitum skid marks. But it left skid marks. Skid marks, you say. How can a meteorite leave skid marks? Because they're going to land like that, not going to skid across the land. That implies a landing. Skid marks means landing. So skid marks are important. Skid marks are very important. We need to have a look at these skid marks. Yes, get the measurements, the diameter, the length of these skid marks. By which you're like, this film for real? Skid marks, you say? When they get there, they happen to get there when the older scientist, the American scientist, his niece is there as well. And his niece is an Olympic gold medal winning ice skater. So when they get there, she's actually doing a little demonstration for a bunch of very, very bored looking extras who are standing at this sort of alpine chalet, and they're going, as she goes, ice chips flying everywhere. Very sexy, in fact. She's actually lovely. And they're all giving it loads. And straight away, our playboy, ooh, I like her, doesn't yet know that that's the niece of the boss of the mission. And then she says hello to, her uncle and all that. Oh, then who's that guy there who's gone to get his skis? Because before we go and check out the landing site, I've got time for a bit of skiing, because I am an adventurous sort. So he goes to collect his skis and doesn't realise that she's actually got the hots for him as well. So quick, isn't it? In these black and white movies, romance is just, it's there, it's immediate. But then you get like a 1959, you get an unusual nude shower scene for this girl. I must go and get changed, and off she goes. And yeah, you see it. You see it undress, and then she goes behind sort of, the sort of that opaque type of shower stall wall glass thing, but you can see quite clearly through nippy nips, and it's a film of its time, so a bit of hairiness. There isn't just one Yeti in this movie. So a bit of yak hair is on show as well, and you're like, and it kind of lingers on this. You're like, whoa, bloody hell. Anyway, she gets to know him after a lengthy skiing trip together, which is really like, this film's only short. Can we get to the monstrousness? Can we go and investigate the skid marks and the crash site? What's going on? Don't waste any more time. And she stows aboard their plane going out there, and they go and land there, and she shouldn't be there, and she's a very sort of go-getting American gal. She's very forward and very independent thinking, and I will not be told what to do. I'm going to come with you to this crash site. I'm going to investigate. It sounds exciting. It's better than ice skating for these completely uninterested extras you've drafted in. So she's there, and she's going to come unstuck at some point. Typical woman in the 50s, going to fall over, going to be trapped, captured, and there you go. But so they go out there and they go and investigate this thing, and it quite clearly is not a meteorite, because it's metallic and it's got all these lights glowing in it as well. And this is dangerous. Maybe we shouldn't come so close right now. So they go and have a look at it, and then they go and vamoose again, and then they discover there's all sorts of mutilated reindeer around about, and great big, and I mean big footprints. Yes, because that would be that guy I showed you in the imagery, the great big 30-foot tall Yeti, who it transpires is the pet of the occupants of this skid mark leaving alien vessel, which is sitting there in this little canyon, this little ravine that's created. And they're inside looking at little TV screens of all the people outside, and then pushing knobs and pressing buttons, but watching these people. And typically, you know, like all alien ships, they have cameras outside which obviously track, you know, people. So basically you're watching the film, but so are they. They're watching the film that you've just seen of the characters walking along the ice canyon, and it just pans away. It might even zoom as well, you know, and have the same edits. It's that kind of film, folks. It's their pet, it seems. Now, these aliens look like Death from Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. Robed, high-fodded, completely pale and bald. And they speak in... do you remember when you used to first try to go on the internet and you put your modem on? And you'd hear that... all that noise. That's how they speak to each other. And you're like... And they don't even put subtitles up for it, so you've got no idea what these guys are saying. But that's what they are. There's about 3 or 4 of these weird alien things, big heads. And but this Yeti thing is going on the rampage. It does attack their plane. It trashes their plane. It kills the guy who's left to guard it. Some provocative shots of him with a rifle, and you're subjectively looking down from the Yeti monster's point of view at this guy who's like, ah! Although if you watch him shoot, he clearly isn't a trained shooter, because every time he fires, he sort of goes. So his bullets, wherever they're going nowhere near this fucking 30-foot tall, huge, shaggy, monstrous beast. How could you miss that? Even a blind man is going to hit it. But not this guy, no. And he gets killed. The thing then just goes walkabout over the fjords and the hills and the mountains. It will encounter our hero and his girl, this ice skating goddess, who have then, because they're the best skiers, we must go out and get help because the plane's been trashed. So they ski, and then she has an accident. She falls over. She's a fucking Olympic bloody alpine skier come ice skater, and she falls over and hurts herself. So they find this alpine shack. I'm saying alpine, it isn't the Alps, but you know what I mean. They find this little shack and they go in there, but the beast attacks and she makes a run for it. He gets knocked out as some of the roof tumbles down on him, and it goes and picks her up and drags her off and then deposits her where these aliens will come out. And this is how we learn how they speak, because she'll just be unconscious and her eyes will open, and these things will be there. And lots of zoom cuts and hair going, and passes out again. Yes, folks, it's one of those films where everybody just falls unconscious all the time. And she gets left there, but then the monster will come back and it'll pick her up again. And in the meantime, I do forgive me. It does attack the Salmi. Well, I don't know what the people are called there. The native people who wear these ridiculous, really silly, cultural, stupid hats, which come out like huge embroidered bananas on their heads like this. I don't know. If it looked cool, I'd say, but it just doesn't. And it lays siege to their village and starts trashing their shacks and their teepee-like structures, wrenching them and throwing things, and things blow up. And more people on the ground are shooting up. A bit better this time. But it doesn't actually hurt anybody else, which is a bit of a disappointment. And then it will walk off, wander off, and it'll find her in the snow, and then it will start carrying her. And where's it going? What's it going to do with it? Well, we're never going to find out, because in a sort of a homage to Universal movies and the Hammer movies, you will have these Salmi people, whatever, I forget what they're called, these Laplanders, will suddenly, on skis, will ignite all their torches, and like the villagers of yore, will go across the landscape in a big sort of hunting posse to go and hunt down the monster, which they will do, and they'll set him on fire and he'll fall off a cliff. That's it. And the aliens will watch this on their little TV screen and think, ah, shit. Well, that was a waste of time coming in, wasn't it? Right, we're off. So, ship closes up, lights all shine, thrusters, off it goes in a complete reverse shot of what you saw to begin with, where it lands in the snow and pushes the snow before it. Basically, you see the snow pushing this thing out, and the snow will be nice and calm afterwards. Just a reverse shot, folks. And off they go. But our heroes will see them taking off, and the older American, the uncle of this ice skating niece, will go like, well, I hope they got what they came for. And that's it. That's the film, folks. That's the film. This is a film that completely, when I was a kid, that image, that beast, that creature, let's use that, because that's exactly the same. Apart from the eyes are slightly different, but that is exactly the same image from the movie. That's how it looks. Haunted me, and I thought, I've got to see this film. It looks nasty. It looks bizarre. The way it's looking over its shoulder like that, it's a really absurdist, fantastical shot. And now I've seen it. But the weird thing is, folks, it's short, it's talky. Far too much time is spent at the start of the movie, almost half the movie, of people having a meal and the Swedish geologist and the American ice skating goddess skiing up and down the mountains, and far too long is spent in the ski lift. They're both in two separate ski lifts, but looking at each other. They've just met, and so many shots of that going up the side of a mountain. You're like, so what? Cut to the monster, and the monster only kills one person and a few reindeer, and that's it. And like, is it really a monster? It's just does it even know what it's doing? Has it just been like let loose, and like, what do the aliens want? What's going on? What does it matter? Oh God, it is it's appalling, folks. The film was, as it happens, remade, re-edited and reshot with, well, not reshot, but had extra footage tacked on of the great John Carradine even, doing a narration. And this was an American version, and I think it was called Invasion of the Animal People. Yeah, but apparently that's far inferior to this version, and this version is shit. Yeah. Oh dear God. On this disc as well, this foreign disc, you've actually got another couple of films on there as well. You've not got, well, I don't think you have. The whole thing's written in foreign language, so it's hard to work it out. And on the menu, it's even harder to work out what you're looking at. But yeah, it has another film on it somewhere, but I don't think it's that American remake. But you have as well 13 Demon Street, an episode of the TV anthology series 13 Demon Street. And the episode is called The Girl in the Glacier, which is about a nude girl found in a glacier, who the guy who finds it, the archaeologist who finds it, falls in love with it, and then will kill a rival who wants to study this thing when he brings it back to the museum. But the thing about that is it's Lon Chaney Jr. who's the host of this TV show 13 Demon Street, and this particular episode is written by Kurt Siodmak. Now Kurt Siodmak wrote The Wolfman, which Lon Chaney Jr. starred in as the Wolfman. So you think, wow, Kilt-Man, you must be all over that. Well, I was, until I saw it and discovered that it's absolute shit as well. And my God, I cannot recommend it at all. But the interesting thing about that episode is that in a kind of offshoot idea, the distributors who made 13 Demon Street thought, we can make a movie out of this. We'll take a couple episodes and we'll make a feature-length story out of those episodes. And that was one of them. And they brought in Lon Chaney Jr. and gave him an expanded role. Not just the host, he was playing the devil himself in this. And I think it was called Message of Evil or something like that. But having seen that, I don't want to see any other version at all. And having now scratched that infernal itch from my younger days, you know what, folks? you can live with these itches. You haven't got to scratch them, because all I've done is made a bit of a sore. I've scratched too much, and now it's tearing a bit, because that was tedious to get through. And at 70 odd minutes, and half of that is just waffle and travelogue and location shooting in really, really bad cinematography, and a terrible transfer as well. Terrible. The sound mix on that in the first 20 minutes or so, you've got like an infernal sort of drumming machine in the background, like a generator, and you're like, is that ever going to go off? Well, it does, but actually, you know, I kind of missed it once I could hear the actual dialogue itself. No, folks, this is cack beyond belief. But, you know, it's one of those things where I discovered what the film is. Oh, Terror in the Midnight Sun, right? It's a Yeti monster, and the makeup is good. I like that mask and that look, and the effect of him walking. It's just a guy in a suit, but the way they filmed it, there's me knocking it, and I'm gonna find something to celebrate about it. This monster does look good. It's just, this is not the showcase for him, and maybe once you do see him, you perhaps see him too much, because you're not like frightened of him anymore. Then again, he doesn't do much. He may mutilate a herd of reindeer, he may kidnap a girl, he may kill a guard of a plane, and he may trash a native village. But I know that sounds like a lot, but he kills one person. One. You don't even see it. And so he doesn't come across as monstrous and frightening, but see him shambling down, you know, the fjords, the glaciers, you know, and it is pretty good. It does look good, and the optical effect of that is actually pretty sound. Destroying this miniature village, yeah, that works. That actually works. But you know, it's not enough to say, oh yeah, you've got to look at this. If you're a lover of trashy B, C, Z grade movies, drive-in fodder, then yeah, maybe. If you're just going to sit back and just laugh your tits off at it, then yeah, it's going to have some merit. But if you're going to watch it as some kind of serious entry in the rather limited Abominable Snowman, Yeti, Sasquatch subgenre, then this is an early but not a good, you know, sort of offering. By the way, I'm playing not Lalo Schifrin. Oh, it is Lalo Schifrin, the great Lalo Schifrin composer from Dirty Harry and Mission Impossible. This is the score for the film Abominable, which is about Sasquatches, like a big, massive herd of them laying waste to some irresponsible campers up in the wilds. But his son made the movie. His son, whose name I have forgotten, but it's something Schifrin, and his dad did the score for it, and the score's pretty good. But it was the only Abominable Snowman type bit of music that I thought I could play to go along with this, and it's the best thing about this video is that music. Because that film, folks, I cannot recommend it. I just can't. I can't. I had some fun with it because I just realised, well, okay, this is not going to be what I hoped it was. The monster looks good, but he's massively ineptly used, and the aliens, I don't get what are they there for? What's the point? What's the whole point of the story? There isn't one. Just isn't one. So I do these things so that you don't have to. I save you the time and effort. I warn you. So I'm telling you now to steer clear of a film you'd never heard of until I mentioned it. Anyway, folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. I shall forever be at your services. Please do take it easy. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Keep it Celtic. Keep it kilted. Keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all under a midnight sun. There's bloody big footprints.